So my mother lives in the Gambia. The Gambia is one of 57 countries on the African continent. It is situated on the western side of Africa. So it's in West Africa. It's a small country with a population of just over 2 million, about 2.1 million people. My mother usually comes to the UK every single year for at least 6 months in the year. But my mom always comes in the summer and the spring. As soon as it gets cold, she leaves. My mother will never, or by choice, will never choose to spend the Christmas here. Even if I ask her, if I say to her, come for Christmas, she will never come. And the reason why is because the Gambia is so much fun at Christmas. Parties, midnight picnics, countless weddings, and carol singing, masquerades. It's fun, fun, fun. A lot of people return home at Christmas time. And I remember growing up at Christmas, and my mom didn't have much. She was a single mom, and she would have, she would decorate the house with the Christmas garlands and the Christmas tree, and would have a few presents underneath the tree to look forward to. And we had carol singing, and we had masquerades. It was fun. And I remember it was in 1984 that the Band Aid song, "Do They Know It's Christmas Time," came out. And of course, we knew all the words and knew all the words, had written them down, and would sing it at the top of my lungs, thinking that I was singing for someone else, not realizing that the song was about me as an African child in Africa. They were singing about this other world. I mean, the words say, look outside your window and there's another world where it's only misery and it's only pain. And they were singing generally about every one of us on the African continent, all 57 countries. And so I was singing along with them, not realizing that they were singing for me, that I didn't realize, that I didn't know it was Christmas time, that I wasn't enjoying Christmas time. And this song, even when I hear it today, it offends me, it annoys me, because there is just no research put into the words of the song or into the song. There is no differentiation, there's no explanation. There is just that generalization of what Africa is and who Africans are, and how we all dying from poverty and waiting for Band-Aid to save us. And that's a lie, because we had Christmas and we didn't wait for Band-Aid, we didn't need Band-Aid. And this is the issue with the narrative and the stories that have been told about Africa, which I think it's extremely important now that we begin to change, we begin to look at, we begin to address. Because until we do that, there is no chance or opportunity or way in which Africa and Africans will be looked at differently, or get the respect that they deserve, because there's this blanket explanation of who we are. I'm going to just talk about some of the words of this song. And there's another line that says, the greatest gift they'll get this year is the gift of life. I think what they're referring to here is that people will not have any gifts or will not have any presents. All they'll have is their life. Well, that is a lie. That is a lie. I think when they wrote this song, it was around the Somalia, Ethiopian famine, around that time. So you're talking about less than 5 countries out of 57 countries going through a time of famine and upheaval. And this generalization has led to a situation where, everybody just refers to us as Africa. But we're in England, for example, and we don't say the British person is European. In fact, they have opted to leave Europe. So why would you then just say Africa and mean every single country in Africa? Right? There are lots of countries in Africa at Christmas time where there are presents under the tree, where they have gifts under the tree, like other countries, like just in the West. And also there are countries and homes and families in Africa where there is nothing under the tree. When it is life, it is just life. And it's the same in the West. There are homes and places in the West, in the UK, in Europe, in the USA, where there is nothing under the tree. It is universal. We're going to have to start to change the narrative. We're going to have to start to talk about human beings and human experiences, rather than just, group everybody under one umbrella because it's easier. It's lazy. It's laziness. It's lazy storytelling. It's lazy songwriting. It's lazy movie making. And the other line is nothing ever grows and no rain or river flows. I mean, really? Have you done any geography at all? Do you know how many rivers there are in Africa? Do you know how many rivers flow there? Why would you make such a generalization? Why would you just lump an entire continent into one little song and minimize it in such a way? It is lazy and it is stupid. And the thing is that this is done in 1984, but there was another song. This song was repeated just a few years ago in the year 2000, in this past decade. I can't remember which year. So people are still singing that, and people are still thinking that, people are still approaching Africa in that way. And then the other line says, here's to you raising a glass of wine. And then it says, here's to them underneath the burning sun. I don't know. I mean, that is so silly. Some of us like the sun. How about that? And there is fun in the sun. There's a lot of fun in Africa at Christmas time. So that's wrong and that's a lie. And as we all know, across the globe, whether it's in Africa or in the West, there are people who are hungry every single night. So if we're feeding the world, let's feed the world in general and not make that song or those images and that narrative constantly about Africa. It's time to change it. And it's time us as Africans begin to demand that the narrative is changed. And not only do we demand that the narrative is changed, we work so that the narrative is changed. It's time to begin to build a new Africa, an Africa that tells our stories in the way that we want to tell them, to say this is how we want to be seen, and to demand it, and not just even just expect it, but to begin to tell our stories ourselves. Have a good Christmas, wherever you are.